Kevin didn't come home for the third night in a row. I opened the social media account of the woman entangled with him. She had been documenting, bit by bit, the process of Kevin falling for her. Took the domineering CEO on a carousel ride. Confessed my love to him and succeeded. Yay! Went to the movies, kissed in the theater until we were breathless. My tongue is still numb. Finally got to kiss the domineering CEO's abs. But he said he wanted to return the favor, so embarrassing. I carefully studied this How to Steal a Married Man playbook. Honestly, it was surprisingly effective. 2 months later, the girl posted a pregnancy test report. I went to confront his wife. I'll face everything together with him, holding my own pregnancy test report. I left her a comment. Good thing my man doesn't have a wife. He even said he'd face my husband together with me. Chapter 1. If he's still inexperienced, take him to see the world's splendor. If he's been through it all, take him on a carousel. Took the domineering CEO on a carousel today. Hee, confession successful. In the photo, the girl sat on a carousel horse, one hand holding another hand in front of the camera. Her smile was radiant, her eyes bright and full of charm. Obviously, the picture was taken from her boyfriend's perspective. The man's face wasn't shown, only the hand he held with hers. At a glance, I recognized the Patek Philippe watch on his wrist. I had personally picked it out at the counter. I checked the date. The photo was posted on February 14th, Valentine's Day. That day, I had deliberately let the housemaid go home early. Following a video tutorial, I happily prepared an exquisite French dinner. I waited until 2 a.m., yet Kevin never came home. Turns out, he had been accompanying someone else on a carousel. I kept scrolling, watched a couple's movie. We kissed in the theater until we were breathless. My tongue went numb. A photo of the two locked in a deep kiss. The man held the girl's head possessively, trapping her in his arms. The kiss was wild yet tender. From that sharply defined side profile, I could almost be certain that the man lost in love was my husband, Kevin. In fact, my WeChat background photo looks very similar to this one. It was taken on the day Kevin proposed to me. After I said yes, he cried tears of joy and gently kissed my lips. My best friend, Carolina, captured that moment. She said it was incredibly beautiful, that it made her truly feel a man's deep love for a woman. I thought so too. I even used that photo as my WeChat background for 3 whole years. Heh, sure enough, people who flaunt their love never end well. May 2nd, yesterday, our 3rd wedding anniversary. Kevin stayed out all night again. I heard it was his wedding anniversary. I didn't want him to go back, so I acted spoiled, and he actually agreed. I licked the domineering CEO's abs, and he said he wanted to return the favor. So embarrassing. Help, seems like the domineering CEO is getting turned on. I opened the photo. On the sofa, Kevin was lowering his head, kissing the girl's navel. The scene was intoxicating, thick with intimacy and ambiguity, like a couple deeply in love. The man who hadn't touched me for so long was lying over another woman, his eyes filled with naked desire. My gaze lingered on that photo for a long time. After a while, I finally confirmed one thing. The reason my husband didn't come home on our 3rd wedding anniversary last night was because he was kissing another woman's navel. Chapter 2. I'm actually not that slow to notice things. Kevin's cheating wasn't completely without signs. The first time I sensed something was off was a few months ago, in the 3rd year of our marriage. With pressure from both families and concerns about age, I started thinking about having a child, but Kevin suggested we sleep in separate rooms. His reason was work stress. At the time, I found it strange. After our families joined through marriage, Kevin's family business had been thriving these past few years. His workload had clearly become much lighter. So why was he blatantly lying? After we started sleeping separately, in order to increase the chances of getting pregnant, I could only take the initiative during my ovulation period. And every single time, Kevin had an excuse to refuse. Notice, every single time. He had been drinking, he was tired, he had no energy, nothing but those excuses. Honestly, thinking back on his perfunctory and indifferent attitude now, I felt like some kind of desperate escort, trying to persuade a client to take off his pants. Chapter 3. I don't know how long I sat on the sofa. It felt like just a moment ago. The morning light was faint, and when I came back to my senses, dusk had already fallen. From the shock, disbelief, and helpless rage when I first opened those photos, to sinking into deep thought, gradually calming down, once I had completely steadied myself. I went upstairs to shower, put on makeup, changed my clothes, and then took a taxi to the company. As soon as I reached the president's office, the special assistant working nearby saw me and immediately looked nervous. He stood up at once. "Madam, what brings you here?" "I came to ask Kevin out for dinner." Could you wait a moment? I'll inform him first." 2 minutes later, when I walked into Kevin's office, I finally understood why the assistant had been so flustered. A girl was standing in front of the desk, holding a contract folder in her hands. Although she had her back to me, I almost instantly guessed who she was. Kevin's tone was calm. "Why are you here?" I clenched my palm slightly, forcing a smile. "You didn't come home last night. I came to pick you up after work today. Are you happy?" "I drank too much with a client last night. Slept at a hotel." "I knew you'd say that." I stepped closer, pretending to be dissatisfied. "Are you done yet?" "Husband, come have dinner with me, okay? I might have to work overtime today." "No way. You didn't come home yesterday. So as punishment, you have to listen to me all night today." Kevin's body stiffened for a moment, and he instinctively glanced across the room. The girl had been standing there calmly with the folder in her arms. But the moment I wrapped my arms around Kevin and began acting coquettish, her expression visibly changed. She stared blankly at the hand I had around Kevin's arm, her lips slightly drooping, her fingers gripping the contract so tightly that her knuckles turned white. Even her eyes began to redden, as if tears would fall at any second. That pitiful, wronged, quietly enduring look, as if she had suffered such great injustice. Kevin was clearly moved. He seemed to want to subtly pull away from me. "What's wrong, husband?" Of course, I wasn't about to let him. Instead, I clung to him even tighter. Kevin fell silent for a moment, already coming up with a response. "All right, let's go eat." Chapter 4. Before we even reached the restaurant, his phone rang. After hanging up, Kevin sounded a little anxious. "Wife, something came up at the company. I need to go back right away." I glanced sideways at him, a faint smile curling at my lips as I looked at him. "Are you sure you need to go back?" He nodded absent-mindedly. "Yeah, there's an issue with the contract we signed with Shingdai yesterday. I have to go check it out." "Fine." I silently got out of the car. Kevin left me by the roadside. He didn't seem to care at all how I was supposed to get back from such a deserted place. He hastily turned the car around and sped off. A man who's changed his heart really is worse than a dog. If I had known, I wouldn't have suggested coming to such a remote place for private dining. 30 minutes later, Kevin's car stopped near the company building. He got out while talking on the phone, his face tense. After walking a few steps, he suddenly stopped. The girl who had stood in his office earlier, looking pitiful with reddened eyes, was now standing right in front of him. Kevin looked at her, a mix of helplessness and indulgent affection in his expression. The two of them stared at each other in silence for a long time, until Kevin let out a soft sigh and opened his arms. The girl wiped her tears and ran toward him, crashing straight into his embrace. They held each other tightly. A moment later, Kevin lifted her chin and kissed her passionately. It looked just like a scene from those domineering CEO dramas. If the male lead weren't my husband, I would have been the first to ship them. Calmly, I recorded a video of the two of them. The middle-aged driver in the front seat had a burning curiosity written all over his face. "Miss, that guy, is he your husband?" I took out the $1,000 I had promised earlier from my wallet and handed it to him. "Thank you. Please drive a bit further ahead. I'll get off at the intersection." Chapter 5. After night fell, I went to a bar. It was noisy all around, voices overlapping in a chaotic hum. Strangely, the noisier the place, the easier it was for me to feel calm. I ordered half a dozen beers. Suddenly remembering something, I opened a certain social media account. As expected, half an hour ago, someone from my following list had posted a new update. Round 1, Victory. My man is amazing. I really want to reward him. The title had already changed from Domineering CEO to My Man. How should I put it? It felt like I had become the catalyst between my husband and his mistress. Congratulations to them. Truly. Reward Kevin? She had already kissed his abs. They had already kissed each other. What's next? Buying cola? TSK. TSK. Then I really should congratulate Kevin. If it weren't for my assist as his wife, how could he have captured his beauty so quickly? Even though I had already thoroughly gone through that account this morning, I found myself scrolling through it again carefully. It read like a diary of a relationship. She had written everything in great detail, from her first day joining the company, how she fell in love with Kevin at first sight, how she started their first conversation, how she used little tricks to get Kevin to drive her home on a rainy evening, how she nervously yet excitedly made a homemade breakfast for him. In just a few months, she had posted dozens of entries. Every single one was about Kevin. It was practically a full guide to winning over a married man. Of course, she had hidden the company's name, and in all her photos, Kevin's face was never fully shown. If it weren't for a few days ago, when I used Kevin's phone to buy something and accidentally discovered this mutual follow account on a social platform, and kept it in mind, I would never have imagined that my husband had already become prey on another woman's chopping board. Through her words, I could clearly see how Kevin had fallen into her hands. To be fair, many of her tactics were quite unconventional. The comment section was full of criticism, but she was clever. She never argued directly with netizens. She only replied calmly with one sentence. Only the one who isn't loved is the third party. Chapter 6. So apparently, I had already become the other woman between her and Kevin. I let out a cold laugh and turned off my phone. The next second, the screen lit up again. It was my best friend, my ride or die, Carolina. You at Queens? Yeah, seriously. You? Don't tell me you're drunk again. In truth, I hadn't drunk much at all. I was perfectly clear-headed. A little. Stay there. I'll have my brother come pick you up. She hung up without giving me a chance to argue. Time to test my acting skills. I poured some beer on myself so I'd smell like a proper drunk mess. Then I started working up the right emotions. Less than 10 minutes later, the driver arrived. He helped me out of the bar and brought me to a Bentley. Young master, Miss Christiana is drunk again. Should we put her in the back seat or the front? The man in the back seat, dressed in a black suit, was scrolling through news on his iPad. Hearing that, he looked up. 3 seconds later, his cool, distant voice sounded. Back seat. I quickly caught a whiff of his light, pleasant cologne. It smelled really good. Instinctively, I wanted to move closer, but hesitation crept into my heart. After all, this wasn't just anyone. This was Frederick. I was probably out of my mind, actually thinking about making a move on Frederick. When did that thought even start? Maybe it was last month. On my birthday, Kevin stayed out all night for the second time. I waited and waited in the restaurant. People at the surrounding tables came and went, wave after wave, but Kevin never showed up. At midnight, the waiter told me, with sympathy and apology, that they were closing. I called Kevin. His phone was off. I don't even know how to describe how I felt at that moment. For the first time, the thought of divorce crossed my mind. I drained that bottle of Lafite in one go and walked out of the restaurant without hesitation. When Carolina video called me, I was hugging a street pole, throwing up like a mess. She was overseas at the time, terrified that I'd end up taken advantage of, so she immediately contacted Frederick. What happened after that was too embarrassing to recall. I think I threw up on Frederick, and on his car, and on their family's sofa. Most importantly, because it was too late that night, Frederick Ramos took me back to the Ramos family's old residence. Fortunately, everyone else was already asleep. Later, Carolina showed me footage from their living room security camera, my glorious achievements from that night. His suit was completely ruined by you, and he still didn't have Orson throw you out. I'm starting to think he secretly likes you. He's seriously a clean freak. You know, Carolina really overestimated me. What right did I have for Frederick to secretly like me? If anything, it was me who had liked him. From elementary school to high school, I had a crush on him for 7 or 8 years. I even confessed once. And of course, I was rejected miserably. Back then, I had quite a strong sense of pride. After Frederick turned me down, I never contacted him again. I was childish, secretly thinking, today you ignore me, tomorrow you won't be able to reach me. And well, it did turn out to be unreachable, just not in the way I imagined. I was the one who couldn't reach him. After Frederick's father took over, the Ramos Group underwent drastic reforms and grew rapidly, soon becoming the leading company in City A. Meanwhile, back then, my father's affair was exposed by my mother, and their divorce battle dragged on for 2 to 3 years. Our company's stock price kept plummeting. Chapter 7. After the divorce, my father took a group of key technical staff and left the company, dealing a heavy blow to the group. It took several years to recover. After graduating from high school, Frederick went to Imperial College London. Carolina and I, 2 partners in misfortune, went to the US and got rather mediocre master's degrees. As time passed, whatever faint romantic fantasies I once had about Frederick completely faded away. After all, I wasn't a child anymore. As an adult, I had a clear understanding of my own place. Not long after graduating, I returned to the country and worked honestly in my own family's company. The first person I was set up with on a blind date was Kevin. He looked clean-cut, was tall, came from a well-matched background, and treated me with care and consideration. I was satisfied, and I felt content. Naturally, we got married. What I never expected was that in just 3 short years, things would end up like this. That day, after Frederick Ramos took me back to the Ramos family's old residence, I woke up the next morning feeling so embarrassed I wished I could disappear into a crack in the ground. Frederick, however, looked completely calm and natural. He even took the initiative to have the driver, Orson, send me home. I awkwardly thanked him and was about to leave, when young Master Frederick seemed to remember something and suddenly handed me an exquisitely wrapped gift box. I looked at him in surprise. What's this? He paused for a moment. Wasn't it your birthday yesterday? How did you know? I blurted out. Frederick looked at me. In his gentle eyes, there was an emotion I couldn't quite read, like sunlight shimmering on a lake. Carolina told me. Oh, so, was this a birthday gift? That was quite thoughtful of him. After I got home, I opened the box. Inside was a heavy, pure gold 4-leaf clover necklace. It gleamed brilliantly, with a strong sense of design. I instantly fell in love with it. Since childhood, I've always loved collecting jewelry. I don't care much for anything else, just pure gold. Gold bracelets, gold necklaces, rings, earrings. Gold always makes me feel secure. Carolina often joked that I must be the reincarnation of Smaug from The Hobbit. That day, I wore the gold necklace Frederick gave me. A strange ripple stirred in my heart. It felt like the budding feelings of youth were awakening again. Even after all these years, Frederick's face was still exceptional. Of course, at that time, it was just a simple flutter of emotion. The real thought of making a move on Frederick only appeared 15 minutes ago, when Carolina said she would have her brother come pick me up. I'm an only child, and an only child raised in a single-parent family. Since I was young, I've always envied lively, bustling families. While it was just my mother and me at home, I am definitely going to have a child. My mother is also eager to become a grandmother. She expects my child to inherit the family business in the future. Kevin hasn't touched me for nearly half a year, and now he's cheating. So why should I insist on having a child with him? From childhood until now, Frederick has always been the school heartthrob. His looks have never declined. Otherwise, I wouldn't have fallen for him as early as 2nd grade. He's 188 centimeters tall, with broad shoulders, a narrow waist, and a perfect V-shaped physique. As for intelligence, there's no need to say more. He graduated from Imperial College. My idea is simple. I just want to borrow his genes, the kind where I keep the child and cut ties with the father. Once it works, I'll come clean with my mom. She wouldn't throw me out when I'm already pregnant. And Carolina said her brother doesn't have a girlfriend right now. No, she said he has never had a girlfriend. Of course, she's not sure about his years studying abroad, but at least since returning home, he's been single the whole time. A man who is single, self-disciplined, and handsome, there aren't many like that around me. There's only this one, so why not seize the opportunity? Chapter 8. Screech. the sharp sound of tires grinding against the road. The car came to an abrupt stop. Caught off guard, my whole body lurched forward. Luckily, the person beside me caught me in time. Wait? Caught me? I suddenly opened my eyes, and just like that, I met Frederick's gaze. We stared at each other for several seconds. He hadn't expected me to wake up so suddenly and froze for a moment. Frederick, why am I in your car? The next second, my expression turned confused. Frederick released me and cleared his throat lightly. You drank too much. Carolina asked me to pick you up. Oh, I showed a look of realization. He looked at me, hesitated for a moment. Where do you want to go? I can take you home. At his words, a brief trace of loneliness and melancholy crossed my face. My eyes turned empty and distant as I murmured, I don't want to go anywhere. Frederick looked at me, pressed his lips together, as if he wanted to say something but held back. After thinking it over several times, he said nothing in the end. Seeing how calm and restrained he was, I had no choice but to take the initiative. I looked at him pitifully. I want to go to an amusement park. Frederick, can you take me? At 9:30 p.m. The amusement park wasn't closed yet, but there were barely any people left. I thought of that quote I had seen in the morning. If he's inexperienced, take him to see the world's beauty. If he's been through it all, take him on a carousel. For someone like Frederick, he wasn't inexperienced, but he hadn't exactly been through everything either. He should still be able to ride one, right? Frederick, I want to ride the carousel. Can you come with me? My tone was so soft and deliberately sweet that even I could barely stand it. But I noticed Frederick seemed quite receptive to it. He didn't even hesitate much before agreeing. Could it really be true, spoiled girls have it easiest? It was my first time riding a carousel. The experience was average. After all, it's meant for children. Frederick sat to my left, a cold, distant, domineering CEO sitting on a childish, cute carousel. The image was oddly amusing. So what should I do next? I thought to myself, take photos? That felt too deliberate. Create some ambiguity? Yes, that should be the stage now. Frederick, can you stay with me tonight? The moment those words left my mouth, both of us froze, realizing what I had just said. My face flushed red. I didn't mean that. I just meant, could you keep me company for a while? I don't want to go back and face Kevin. We've been having some issues. Frederick looked at me intently, his gaze focused. If something happened, you can tell me. I would have to tell him sooner or later anyway. My eyes reddened, my voice unable to hide the sadness. Kevin, he cheated on me. Frederick fell silent for a moment. For some reason, I felt like he wasn't surprised. We looked at each other quietly. A moment later, a hand came up to my cheek, gently wiping away my tears. Frederick's eyes held a tenderness I had never seen before. What are you planning to do? That question. I shook my head weakly. I don't know. My mind is a mess. Do you want me to give you some advice? His voice carried a subtle sense of persuasion. I looked at him blankly. What advice? Divorce him. Everyone knows my marriage with Kevin was a business alliance. After 3 years of marriage, our two companies had collaborations in multiple areas and held shares in each other. As the saying goes, move one part and the whole system is affected. If either side brought up divorce, both companies would suffer significant damage. If Kevin didn't bring it up first, I probably wouldn't take the initiative either. But, for a moment, I couldn't think of how to respond. If you agree, I can immediately find the best lawyer for you. You don't need to worry about anything. Why did it feel like Frederick was guiding me step by step? I only wanted to casually make a move on him, see if I could have a child. As for whether to divorce Kevin, that wasn't something I should be discussing with him here. Instinctively, I shook my head, about to say something, but I didn't notice Frederick's expression suddenly change. You don't want to? His voice sounded deeply disappointed. It wasn't that I didn't want to. It's just that divorce is complicated and messy. It's not something that can be sorted out in a few sentences. And even if Kevin and I really did divorce, the process would definitely take a long time. Who would want to wait that long? I need to think about it. That was all I could say for now. Frederick stared at me without blinking, his dark eyes carrying a trace of scrutiny, as if trying to determine whether I was telling the truth. After a long moment, he finally said seriously, "All right, I'll wait for you." Wait, what? Wait for me to do what? His expression stiffened slightly. Then he said, "That lawyer is hard to book. I can only call him after you've made your decision." Oh, so that's what he meant. I nodded. The carousel music suddenly stopped. It turned out 10 minutes had already passed. "Do you want to ride again?" Frederick asked me. "No, better not." He hesitated, then said, "If you don't want to go back, you can come to my place." I blinked. The old residence? Then forget it. Grandpa Ramos, Grandma Ramos, and his parents all live there. I wouldn't dare cause trouble. I think I'll just go back. Frederick frowned slightly, looking displeased. Why, after what he did, you still want to go back? I was confused. I'm going back to my mom's place. He smiled faintly, a hint of amusement in his eyes. All right, I'll take you there. Chapter 9. I kept feeling that tonight's Frederick was not quite the same as the Frederick I used to know. The Frederick from before, cold, quiet, and especially unwilling to deal with people, particularly people he thought weren't very bright. And yet, back then, I was stubbornly single-minded, always jumping right into his line of fire. I had known Carolina since kindergarten. Frederick was only 1 year older than us, so I basically met him in kindergarten too. It could be said that from the very first moment I saw him, I had already been captivated by his looks. To put it bluntly, when I was a child, I became friends with Carolina purely because of Frederick. Carolina was quite a handful back then. She cried easily, had a princess complex, and acted like a pretentious coquette. No girls wanted to play with her at all, but I understood the idea of taking a roundabout route to achieve my goal from a very young age. To get closer to Frederick, I forced myself into becoming Carolina's best friend. From elementary school all the way to my second year of high school, I went to the Ramos family's old residence every weekend without fail. Every time, I used the excuse of visiting Carolina just to check if Frederick was home. If he was, I would try every possible way to bother him. I don't understand this problem. I don't know how to pronounce this word. I can't write this essay. At first, although young Master Frederick was impatient, at least he didn't lose his temper. Until later, when he realized he had explained the same formula 8 times and I still couldn't remember it, or that after reading a word 10 times, the next time it still recognized me, but I didn't recognize it. Young Master Frederick finally snapped. His expression grew darker and darker. In the end, he couldn't hold it in anymore. "Christiana, I explained this problem 3 minutes ago. What exactly are you doing? Did you forget to bring your brain with you?" I wasn't angry at all. Instead, I rested my chin on my hand and apologized to him. Wow, Frederick looked even more handsome when he was angry. I just wanted to get closer to him, to kiss his lips. No, I hadn't grown up yet. I couldn't kiss a boy. Wah. I really wanted to grow up faster. I endured it like that, year after year, until my second year of high school, when I finally couldn't hold it in anymore and confessed to Frederick. I didn't expect him to reject me. Not only did he reject me, the very next day, he got together with a girl who used to bully me. I was furious. That was something I absolutely couldn't tolerate. So I unilaterally cut ties with Frederick. For nearly 10 years, we barely spoke at all, until the last time I got drunk and Carolina asked him to pick me up. That was when we finally, barely, resumed contact. In my memory, Frederick had always been indifferent to other people's matters. And yet today, he actually said he would help me find a divorce lawyer. What a rare sight, like the sun rising from the west. Chapter 10. The next morning, at the breakfast table, my mom started nagging me again. "Why did you come back alone last night? Where's Kevin?" I replied lazily, "No idea." My mother shook her head. "You girl, how can you not know where your husband is? When are you planning to have a child? I'm not trying to rush you, but you're almost 27. Don't you dare follow those people who choose not to have kids. If no one has children, how will society progress? How will the country develop?" Honestly, I'm so tired of this. Every time. She uses these grand arguments to pressure me. Is it that I don't want a child? It's that her son-in-law won't even touch me. I can't exactly reproduce asexually. Thinking of this, I subconsciously picked up my phone and opened that account. Sure enough, there was another update from last night. My hand is so sore, his stamina is incredible. The reward will have to wait until next time. I'm not ready yet, I hope he can be patient. What does that mean? So she and Kevin haven't actually crossed that final line yet? So far, my husband has only been emotionally unfaithful? Heh, how innocent. They've kissed. He's kissed her navel, and apparently helped her out in other ways. Just one final step left. For some reason, I used a secondary account to like that post. After breakfast, I drove home. Kevin was in the shower. When he came out wrapped in a towel and saw me, he looked slightly surprised. Husband, I walked toward him, my tone affectionate. Did you settle the Shinda contract? It's done. He subconsciously adjusted his robe, sounding a bit guilty. Sorry for leaving you yesterday. It's fine. Work comes first. Noticing his small movement, I deliberately hugged him and acted sweet. Husband, my mom was urging us again this morning to have a baby. Can you come home early tonight? Kevin's body stiffened noticeably as he tugged at his collar. Tonight? I'll try. What's that on your neck? I reached out curiously. He suddenly pushed me away. It's nothing. I slept at the office last night. Too many mosquitoes. Mosquitoes? That obvious hickey, and you're telling me it's a mosquito bite? But it looks like there's one on your chest too. Looks like they were pretty intense last night. Even if they didn't go all the way, it didn't stop them from exploring each other's bodies. Should I call that girl bold or foolish? She's already declaring war on me this quickly. Kevin composed himself and replied casually. The one on my chest, I scratched it. It was really itchy. Oh, I see. I had no intention of exposing him. Instead, I simply smiled and reminded him gently. Husband, come home early tonight. I'll be waiting for you. But by 9 p.m., Kevin still hadn't returned. Fortunately, I no longer had any expectations for him. I opened that familiar account again. The photo showed a cup of hot drink, brown sugar ginger tea, from the love of my domineering CEO. No more unbearable pain during my period. So that's how it is. How considerate. Once upon a time, Kevin had also made brown sugar ginger tea for me during my period. Truly, you only hear the laughter of the new love, never the tears of the old. After scrolling through, I left another like on her post. Chapter 11. Carolina had just finished her current project and said she wanted to hang out with me. Queen or Nightfall? I thought for a moment. Forget it, let's go to your place. My place? She looked at me strangely. Don't you not like coming to my house? When did I ever say that? Ever since you confessed to Frederick in your second year of high school and got rejected. Cough. Cough. I felt awkward for a moment and touched my nose. How did you know? Christiana, do you take me for a fool? I just never brought it up because I didn't want to embarrass you. I was speechless. Over the years, I really hadn't gone to the Ramos family's old residence very often. Carolina also had a villa in the city, and most of the time when we hung out, we went there instead. I grabbed some beers from the fridge. Carolina told the kitchen auntie to prepare a few appetizers. I glanced outside. Is your brother home today? No idea. Why are you asking? No reason, just asking. Carolina picked up a piece of freshly mixed cucumber. As she chewed, she suddenly looked at me. Something feels off. Did something happen between you and Frederick recently? I played dumb. What could possibly happen between me and him? Oh, come on. Then why are you suddenly asking about him? And why did you suddenly come here? Christiana, something's not right with you. Damn, when did this girl get so sharp? Fine, I'll just tell you the truth. Didn't you say last time that I threw up on Frederick's car and on him? I just wanted to properly apologize to him. You also said he's a serious clean freak. Carolina showed a look of realization. He is a serious clean freak. The fact that Orson didn't throw you out of the car that day means you were incredibly lucky. Yeah, I was very lucky. We were just about to head upstairs when there was a noise outside. It sounded like a car pulling into the front yard. I couldn't help but wonder, could it be Frederick? Carolina glanced outside and said happily, "My uncle's back." Not long after, an elder walked into the living room on the first floor. He looked to be in his 50s, tall, wearing rimless glasses, with a refined and scholarly appearance. "Dad." Carolina happily stepped forward and hugged him. This was Frederick Ramos's father, the current person in actual control of the Ramos group. Carolina lost her father at a young age, and not long after, her mother remarried and left her with the Ramos family. Her uncle treated her extremely well, no different from his own daughter. "When did you get back?" Seeing his niece, the usually stern man finally showed a rare smile. "This morning, by the way. Where are Grandpa and Grandma?" "They went to your aunt's place. They'll be back in a few days." After acting spoiled for a bit, Carolina suddenly remembered something. "Dad, this is my good friend Christiana. Do you remember her?" His gaze shifted toward me. I braced myself and stepped forward to greet him. "Hello, Uncle." He seemed to remember me. After briefly looking me over, his smile remained. "Christiana? The little girl who used to come to our house often?" Yes, that's her. I can still see a bit of her childhood features. "I didn't expect you to grow this tall and this beautiful." "Of course. Our Christiana has always been the school beauty. She's only slightly less pretty than me," Carolina said proudly. Her uncle chuckled and shook his head. "I think out of everything, your thick skin has grown the most. Girls' gatherings are nothing more than chatting about dramas and gossip. Besides, Carolina and I had been together from elementary school through university. Our friends and classmates were almost entirely the same." Her mouth never stopped. One friend had just gotten remarried. Her husband was 2 decades older than her. Another classmate had broken up with her boyfriend last month. Apparently she caught him cheating in bed. And the breakup was ugly. Luckily, I hadn't told her about Kevin yet. Otherwise, she would have interrogated me endlessly. We chatted until around 11. Only then did this young lady finally go to sleep. Her sleeping posture was truly something. I decided to sleep in the guest room. The guest rooms were on the 3rd floor. Just as I was about to head up, I saw someone sitting on the sofa in the 2nd floor living room. Frederick. When had he been sitting there? No, when had he come back? Our eyes met. He didn't seem surprised to see me at all. "What are you looking for?" Frederick asked. Nothing. I'm going to the guest room." "I'll take you." He stood up, his tone natural. I had no choice but to follow behind him. Chapter 12. The two of us arrived at the guest room on the far right of the 3rd floor, the very room I had stayed in before. "Have you thought about it?" As he pushed the door open, Frederick asked me directly. I didn't react at first. "About what?" He looked at me, his gaze sharpening slightly. "The divorce." "Oh, that." How should I answer him? I really found myself in a difficult position. He didn't agree? Before I could respond, Frederick had already come up with his own conclusion. He frowned slightly, not looking surprised at all, and began analyzing things methodically. "It's fine. You can file for a contested divorce. First separate, then bring the case to court. I'll take you to that law firm tomorrow morning. Don't worry. Cases like this are very straightforward." I had no choice but to interrupt him. "Actually, I haven't told Kevin yet." His voice stopped abruptly. He looked at me, confused, clearly not understanding. "Why?" "Well," I carefully chose my words. "Do you still love him?" Frederick suddenly stared at me intensely. His eyes seemed misty, the corners slightly red. I froze for a moment, then murmured, "No." "Then why?" He pressed on, almost stubbornly, as if he needed an answer from me. "Can we not talk about this?" "What do you want to talk about?" "Anything, just not this." Maybe it was the alcohol, but suddenly, I felt like this was the perfect chance to make a move on Frederick. Late at night, no one would know. Click. I turned off the lights. Frederick was smart, he should understand what I meant. In the darkness, he didn't move at all. I swallowed nervously and decided to be direct. "Frederick, can you stay with me tonight?" No response. "Frederick?" Still nothing. I reached out, trembling slightly, and touched his cheek, leaning closer. I lightly brushed my lips against his, just a fleeting kiss. That was obvious enough, right? But why did it feel like he had frozen? As if even his breathing had stopped. What was going on? I panicked and quickly reached for the light. Click. But it was instantly turned off again. The next second, a pair of slightly trembling hands gently lifted my chin. Warm breaths brushed against my nose. In the darkness, I could feel Frederick looking at me. About a minute passed. Then a warmth touched my lips. It was a very light, almost reverent kiss. After a brief contact, he pulled away, as if he still wasn't sure, just cautiously testing me. Of course, I wasn't about to give him a chance to back out. I wrapped my arms around his neck and leaned in again. This time, he was certain. He firmly held the back of my head and captured my lips again without hesitation. And this time, it was intense. Right from the start, he deepened the kiss. Forceful and overwhelming, as if claiming territory without restraint. The strength of it felt like he wanted to pull me into himself entirely. I was pressed against the wall, my mind blank. The kiss lasted a long time. Honestly, I had never kissed anyone for this long before. Just like what that post had said, my tongue went numb. It really did. Gradually, I remembered what I had originally intended to do. So while breathlessly responding to Frederick's passionate kiss, I fumbled with his buttons. He was wearing a shirt. God, why were they so hard to undo? I almost wanted to just tear it off, because I had already felt Frederick's abs. My God, he was built so well. I wanted to kiss them so badly. That line popped into my head again. Finally got to kiss the domineering CEO's abs. No way. If other women could have it, so could I. Damn this button. Just as I was fumbling impatiently, a low, almost dreamlike murmur sounded beside my ear. Tina. I froze for a moment. That nickname felt so distant. When I was little, Carolina called me Tina. Frederick had called me that too, but only rarely. Most of the time, he called me Christiana. Only when I had been especially obedient and hadn't bothered him would he call me that. Like Carolina did. Divorce him, okay? That low, lingering, almost hypnotic voice came again, as Frederick gently kissed my earlobe. He murmured those words. I frowned slightly. Why was he bringing this up again? It completely ruined the mood. Couldn't he just focus? Right now, I only wanted to sleep with him, not talk about divorce. A sudden chill brushed against my cheek. The man who had been tender just moments ago suddenly stopped. I realized, oh no, I had accidentally said that last sentence out loud. Frederick slowly let go of me, his voice turning cold. All the earlier intimacy gone. What do you mean by that? I tried to salvage the situation. I didn't mean anything. Don't misunderstand. Frederick said nothing. After a moment, you want to use me to get back at him? I knew him too well. That mocking, sharp tone, it was a clear sign he was angry. I knew I had probably ruined everything. I couldn't help but feel regret. I was so close. So close. I could have made it. Damn it. Christiana, you're really something. Sure enough, the familiar young Master Frederick was back. Detached. Cold. I could only stand there, watching him leave in anger. The prize that had been within reach just flew away. Aw, I'm going to lose my mind. Chapter 13. After that night, I didn't see Frederick again. He seemed genuinely angry. A few days later, I called Carolina. After nearly half an hour of careful build-up, I casually brought up her brother. No idea. Probably on a blind date. I shot up to my feet. What did you say? What do you mean, what did I say? Why are you reacting like that? You scared me. Realizing I had overreacted, I quickly made up an excuse. And no, it's nothing. Chestnut suddenly jumped out just now and almost bit me. Chestnut is my Persian cat. So, did it work out? How would I know? After hanging up, I fell into deep thought. Frederick actually went on a blind date. So, was what happened that night just over? No way. I opened a certain social media platform and clicked on that familiar account. Picking out scallions, his fingers are so long. Why did I notice that first? So embarrassing. The photo showed a bowl of beef noodles. A hand was using chopsticks to pick out the scallions, making ginger tea, picking scallions. She was practically pampering Kevin into a helpless baby. Their lovey-dovey sweetness was almost overflowing from the screen. I had to admit, this girl really knew how to handle men. I decided to seriously study this married man conquest guide. Simply put, her strategy was a slow burn ambush. After locking onto her target, her approach was slow, but she kept him firmly within her sights. At the beginning, she created repeated coincidental encounters to deepen his impression of her. After becoming familiar, she used a few small tricks to exchange contact information. Then, little by little, she quietly seeped into his life. Playful conversations, thoughtful homemade breakfasts, a push and pull dynamic that skyrocketed the ambiguity between them. In essence, the entire strategy came down to one word: teasing. Once the teasing worked, the rhythm of the relationship would be hers to control. A lot of the time, being pursued doesn't actually put you in a position of power, it makes you like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. But when you're the one doing the teasing, you become completely in control. Compared to her, I was honestly too amateur. First, I had been too impatient, rushing only made things worse. Second, I hadn't prepared enough. I didn't even have Frederick's contact. No groundwork at all. And third, you have to know how to play the long game. She and Kevin had been flirting for 3 or 4 months, and they were still only at the stage of kissing and touching. That way, she kept him constantly wanting more, and only then would a man become completely hooked. Sigh. I really was too inexperienced. For example, there were some basic moves: learning to act cute, learning to play the victim, showing vulnerability at the right moments. So a man develops sympathy, and once he feels that sympathy, that's when you gain control over him. No wonder I could never win Frederick over before, because I had been doing everything the opposite way. It really proves that saying, what I once dismissed, I now analyze frame by frame. Chapter 14. Since I had decided to make a move on Frederick, the first step was naturally to get his WeChat. But how? I could only ask Carolina, so I came up with an excuse. Send me your brother's contact. Why? A few days ago, someone came to interview at our company. He used to work in your Ramos Group's tech department. His non-compete just expired, and he wants to join us. I want to ask your brother what he thinks of his abilities. Carolina didn't suspect anything and quickly forwarded me her brother's contact. Judging from the profile picture, it was probably his personal account. After thinking for a moment, I sent him a message. Frederick, this is Christiana. Day 1, no response. Day 2, still no response. Day 3, nothing. It seemed he had made up his mind not to accept my request. Looks like he was still angry about that night. I had no choice but to move on to step 2, creating a chance encounter. That was a bit tricky. I couldn't exactly stake out his company, so I could only indirectly gather information about him through Miss Ramos. The more I heard, the more discouraged I felt. Frederick was seriously boring. Aside from work, he basically had no hobbies, no bars, no sports, no games, and no girlfriend. I honestly had no idea what he even did in his free time. Doesn't he go jogging or something? Those abs I felt that night were definitely real. There's a gym in the basement of our house. Oh, right. I was about to ask more when I noticed Carolina staring straight at me. Christiana, be honest, do you have a thing for Frederick again? My heart skipped a beat. What are you talking about? Of course not. It better be me imagining things. Haven't you not spoken to him for over 10 years? Yet lately, every time we talk, you're asking about Frederick. With tricks this obvious, you think you can fool me? Confess and be lenient. Resist and be punished. Christiana, you'd better tell me everything. For a moment, I was completely speechless. There was no way around it. Carolina knew me too well. If she had gotten into a relationship or found herself a guy, I would have noticed immediately too. So I had no choice but to come clean. Kevin is cheating. That sudden statement stunned Carolina for a moment. When did that happen? I handed her the video I had taken earlier, the one of them kissing passionately. After watching it, she fell silent. So you and Frederick. I awkwardly touched my nose. You know my situation. I have to have a child. But Kevin hasn't touched me for half a year. As for Frederick, you know I liked him when I was younger. I was planning to just have a child and cut ties afterward. Of course. If you're against it, then forget it. I also think it's a bit. Carolina suddenly interrupted me. Why would I be against it? Huh? I stared at her blankly. Christiana, I've never seen anyone as foolish as you, being treated like this by Kevin and not saying a word. You want to sleep with Frederick. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Do you think I wouldn't help you with something this simple? Something this simple? I was completely thrown off for a moment before muttering. I thought you'd immediately tell me to divorce. Carolina let out a cold laugh, her eyes sharp and icy. Why rush into divorce? If you want one, fine, but you sleep with Frederick first. Then divorce. Why is it that men can mess around, but women have to follow all those outdated rules? What absolute nonsense. Kevin can have a girlfriend, you can have a boyfriend too. You've got your eyes on Frederick, right? Come on, we're going to my house now. I was completely stunned. Go to your house for what? Stop talking. Come with me right now. Chapter 15. At a little past 9 in the evening, that familiar Bentley drove into the villa. Carolina quickly urged me. Frederick's back. Didn't you want to see him? Go. I held my forehead. Miss. I said I wanted a chance encounter. Do you understand what that means? I do. Why can't you run into each other in my living room? Or in the hallway? Oh right. His room is the first master bedroom on the second floor, you know that. You could even run into each other in his bedroom. Unbelievable. I thought she had some brilliant plan to help me win Frederick over quickly. Turns out, this was it. Carolina pushed me to the doorway, her tone earnest. To be honest, I've suspected for years that my brother is gay. He's already 28 and still doesn't even have a girlfriend. In the past 2 years, not just me, even my grandparents have started to suspect it. If you manage to sleep with him, you'll be a great hero to our family. What? Frederick, gay? Impossible. If it weren't for the way he kissed me last time, so intensely it nearly took my soul, I might have believed her nonsense. Before I could finish, slam, the door was shut. Now I finally understood why Carolina had dragged me here so urgently. She was using me to test her brother. I waited quietly in the hallway. Not long after, I saw Frederick walking up, dressed in a perfectly tailored dark suit. He looked noble and distant. His trousers were sharp and straight, falling neatly over polished leather shoes. Long legs for days. Carolina's words flashed through my mind. If Frederick really were gay, then, was he the dominant one or the submissive one? Lost in thought, I suddenly met Frederick's gaze. I quickly put on a smile. Frederick. His expression remained calm, his tone light. Do you need something? That was way too cold. As if the man who had held me and kissed me breathless just days ago wasn't him at all. I followed behind him step by step, until he reached the master bedroom on the second floor. He turned back to look at me, clearly asking, "Are you still following?" I bit my lip, putting on a pitiful expression. Frederick, I have something to talk to you about. He pushed open the door. This room was actually quite familiar to me. After all, I used to come here often to bother him when I was younger. After all these years, the layout hadn't changed much. By the east window still stood a grand piano. Next to it, a display cabinet filled with an entire wall of Lego sets. Even the arrangement of the desk looked mostly the same. Oh, there was an extra photo frame now. Wait, why did the people in the photo look familiar? I took a closer look. It was me and Carolina. If I remembered correctly, it was taken when we were in our first year of middle school. During a school performance, we were both dressed in traditional outfits, with hair ornaments swaying gently. My youthful days. Frederick had actually placed that photo on his desk. The siblings must be really close. What did you want to talk about? Seeing that I hadn't spoken for a while, Frederick prompted me. Of course, I had nothing to say. I had just been bluffing earlier. It's nothing much. I just wanted to ask, did something happen to your phone? Why didn't you accept my contact request? He lifted his gaze and looked at me calmly, saying nothing. His stare made me feel slightly uneasy. After a moment, he loosened his tie. I'm going to take a shower first. Huh? That was a sudden change of topic. How did we jump to showering? Soon, the sound of running water came from the bathroom. With nothing to do, I started looking around his room. Suddenly, my attention was drawn to a row of neatly arranged gift boxes in the display cabinet. These small boxes looked a lot like the one Frederick had given me for my birthday, the one with the gold four-leaf clover necklace. Could these all be gifts? All gold necklaces? No way. Who were they for? At a glance, there had to be at least 100 of them, all beautifully packaged. Seriously, the more I looked, the harder Frederick was to understand. Could he actually be a player? That didn't seem right. Carolina was even suspecting he was gay. So strange. Not long after, Frederick walked out of the bathroom. He was only wearing a bathrobe, loosely tied around his waist. Water droplets still clung to his forehead. They trailed down from his hair, along his face, and onto his chest. I couldn't help swallowing. Broad shoulders, a narrow waist, well-defined abs. Every inch of him radiated an intense masculine presence. Chapter 16. Last time in the guest room, I had vaguely guessed that he was in good shape, but I hadn't expected it to be this good. My nose suddenly felt itchy. Just as I was about to wipe it, I noticed Frederick looking at me with a strange expression. What's wrong? He curled his lips slightly and smiled for no apparent reason. Then he handed me 2 tissues. I took them, confused, only when a drop of red liquid slid out from my nose and fell onto my wrist. Did I realize what was happening? Oh my God, this was beyond embarrassing. I rushed into the bathroom and stuffed tissues into my nostrils. Looking at myself in the mirror, I felt like banging my head against the wall. Seriously, could this get any more humiliating? And why did it have to happen in front of Frederick? Unbelievable. After washing my face, I thought maybe I should just leave. I really didn't want to face anyone anymore today. Just as I made up my mind, there was a knock on the door. All set? It was Frederick. There was a hint of amusement in his voice. Ugh, he must be laughing inside. I opened the door, expressionless. I'm going back. I said it, but my body didn't move. Frederick didn't step aside either. Our gazes met. His eyes burned with intensity, something like sparks flickering within them. His tone casual. So, what did you actually come to see me for? Nothing, I said, pretending to stay calm. He stepped closer. The distance between us shrank instantly. At 188 centimeters tall, his height cast a shadow over me. Are you sure? Sure. My voice wavered slightly. What body wash was he using? It smelled really good. Did you tell him? Frederick kept pressing. I played dumb. Tell him what? About the divorce. To avoid repeating the same mistake, I decided to lie. I told him. Frederick paused, a hint of seriousness entering his eyes. What did he say? I hesitated, my tone restrained. Kevin admitted his mistake. He said he won't do it again. Frederick let out a cold laugh. You're not actually going to believe that, are you? After 3 seconds of silence, I looked at him and nodded firmly. I believe he won't lie to me. Frederick's gaze darkened, his expression turning more somber. Christiana, are you really that naive? He's my husband. I believe he won't lie to me. He didn't speak for a long time. Just when I thought he was about to get angry again, his face suddenly moved closer, almost brushing against my lips. We could feel each other's breath. I could even see his long lashes trembling. Then what about what happened between us last time? What do you mean? You know what I mean. Of course I did. Looking at his face so close to mine, high nose, defined features, eyes like a sea of stars. His face was almost sculptural in its perfection. My thoughts began to wander uncontrollably. Does it bother you? Actually, we could keep it from your husband? He finished for me. For a moment, I thought he understood. So I looked at him, eyes soft, hesitant yet suggestive. God, that clean, enticing scent on him. It was like an aphrodisiac, impossible to resist. And his chest, his abs, every part of him was knocking on my senses. I even caught a glimpse of something dangerously tempting, and instinctively licked my lips. Do you want to kiss me? His voice, low and alluring, echoed in my ear, like a bomb dropped into still water, blowing my thoughts to pieces. I could only nod blankly, following his words. Frederick lifted my chin, his soft lips brushing lightly against my cheek. His voice sounded almost dreamlike. Divorce him, and then, I'll be yours. Always Tina's alone, okay? Chapter 17. I walked out of the room in a daze. My steps were unsteady, my mind completely foggy. What's wrong with you? Carolina looked at me, puzzled by my state. I stared at her, saying nothing. So, what did you talk about with Frederick just now? What did we talk about? It felt like nothing much. I shook my head. Didn't you go to add him on WeChat? Did you get it? Oh right, I forgot to add him. You didn't get it? Carolina frowned. I nodded slowly. Then what did he say to you? I looked at her, recalling Frederick's words just now. He told me to get a divorce. Divorce? Yeah, and then? And then, he said, he would be mine. Cough, cough, cough. Carolina burst into a violent coughing fit, clearly choking on her own breath. Wait. Frederick means, if you divorce Kevin, then he'll be with you? Is that what he meant? I tried to piece together everything that had happened in the room, combined with our earlier conversation. I nodded uncertainly. That's probably what he meant. Carolina's face lit up with excitement. Damn, I knew Frederick had someone in his heart. So it really was you. Oh my God. I didn't expect him to be so good at hiding it. He even fooled me. I thought it was weird that when you threw up all over his car last time, he stayed so calm. If it were anyone else, they'd have thrown the whole car away. Now it makes sense. I stared at her blankly. Frederick liked me? That was honestly hard to believe. We hadn't really spoken for nearly 12 years. If he liked me, then why did he reject me when I confessed back then? Did you two kiss just now? I shook my head. Not today. Carolina immediately covered her mouth. So when did you? Last time, when I stayed over at your place. Oh my God. Why didn't you tell me? I was confused too. All right? No matter what, I'm still legally married to Kevin. I can't exactly go around telling people I kissed another man. Well done, Comrade Christiana. You're a great benefactor to my grandparents. Now they don't have to worry about their grandson's orientation anymore. Carolina happily patted my shoulder, then asked eagerly, so when are you planning to sleep with him? With who? Obviously Frederick. Had she not understood yet? Your brother told me to get a divorce. Carolina paused, sorting through the logic, then looked at me. You mean Frederick's condition for being with you is that you divorce Kevin first? More or less. That won't do. Before I could even respond, Carolina rejected it outright. She began analyzing confidently. If you get together with Frederick now, versus getting together after divorcing Kevin, do you think that's the same? If someone puts a green hat on you, aren't you going to return the favor? Christiana, don't you dare compromise. You have to sleep with Frederick first, then divorce Kevin. Got it? This is about our dignity as women, non-negotiable. I thought my values were already a bit skewed. Turns out Miss Ramos had taken it to another level entirely. Was she seriously supporting her own brother and becoming the third party? Chapter 18. Frederick quickly accepted my contact request. Before, I had been eagerly hoping to add him so I could flirt with him every day. Now that I had him added, I suddenly didn't have the courage anymore. Instead, young Master Frederick would occasionally send me messages, asking how things were going between me and Kevin. At first, I avoided the question. Later, he seemed to notice and stopped asking. Instead, he started sending photos of his abs. All kinds of them. Sometimes he was standing in the bathroom with a towel around his waist, water running along his V-line. Sometimes he was in the gym wearing gray sweatpants, the thin fabric leaving too much to the imagination. Every single photo made my blood race and my throat dry. This was completely backwards. Who exactly was flirting with whom? After seeing too many of those photos, I was officially worked up. The most important thing was, I started having dreams. Those kinds of dreams, and every single time, the male lead was, unsurprisingly, young Master Frederick. I was going to lose my mind. Kevin. on the other hand, had been acting a bit strange these days. He had been coming home on time every day, no longer as elusive as before. That day, after his shower, he even came over and kissed me, clearly looking for intimacy. It startled me so much. I quickly made up an excuse, saying I was on my period. He looked displeased. Heh, I had been left alone for 4 or 5 months, and now that he suddenly felt like it, I was supposed to kneel in gratitude and obediently wait for his attention? As if, could it be that just when I was planning to divorce him, he suddenly decided to turn over a new leaf? I quickly opened that social media account and noticed that she hadn't updated for nearly a week. What was going on? Did they argue? They better not have broken up. Even if Kevin hadn't gone all the way with her, I had no intention of taking him back. After hesitating for 2 days, I finally decided to send her a private message. Hey, why haven't you been posting updates about you and your boyfriend lately? That evening, she replied, "Who is this? I'm just one of your followers. I think your relationship posts are really sweet, so I couldn't help asking." Soon, she replied again, "Thanks, girl. My boyfriend and I had a bit of a conflict these past few days, so I stopped posting for a while." So they really had argued. No wonder. They weren't going to break up, right? That wouldn't do. From what you've shared, I can tell your boyfriend really loves you. I just want to say, the path to true love is always full of obstacles, but I believe love can overcome all hardships and ultimately win against them too. Do you remember what you once said? In love, the one who isn't loved is the third party. Promise me, you won't give up, okay? I fed her a bowl of watered-down motivational soup. No idea if it would work. Sigh. To keep my husband's romance from falling apart, I was really putting in the effort. A few days later, I received a new message. "Girl, thank you for your support the other day. My boyfriend and I have made up. We've decided to go to Phoenix Mountain this weekend for a 3-day, 2-night trip. And then, I'll give myself to him completely." I read it twice and understood exactly what she meant. Didn't expect that watered-down advice to work so well. They were going to Phoenix Mountain? So, would I finally be able to catch evidence of Kevin's cheating? At this point, I had no choice but to start preparing for a divorce. Although Kevin and I had signed a prenuptial agreement, even if we divorced, it would follow the standard process. But if I could obtain concrete evidence of his infidelity, at least in terms of public opinion, it would work in my favor. Chapter 19. Friday morning, as I headed downstairs, Kevin seemed to be in an unusually good mood. I noticed he had changed into a new shirt, and even swapped his watch for one he rarely wore. He had also styled his hair with gel. He looked refreshed, full of energy. "Morning, honey." Kevin walked over and gave me a perfunctory kiss on the forehead. I took a sip of milk, my smile faint. In such a good mood today? Maybe it's because the weekend's coming. "Oh, by the way, honey, I'm going on a business trip today. I'll probably be back on Sunday." I looked at him, a half smile playing on my lips. Back on Sunday? That's 3 days and 2 nights, isn't it? Don't miss me too much. He really was in a great mood, even teasing me. At that moment, the elegant, handsome, refined man in front of me looked utterly repulsive. I felt a bit sorrowful. To think I had wasted 3 years on someone like him. Not long ago, I had even wholeheartedly wanted to have a child with him. Sometimes, I truly don't understand why women are so fixated on marriage. Men just love to cheat. My dad was like this. Kevin is the same. Maybe it's just like people say online, only when a man is hanging on the wall does he behave. After Kevin left, I rented a car from a nearby rental shop and drove to the entrance of his company. I waited until noon before I finally saw our family's G-Class SUV drive out of the company parking lot. At the intersection, a sweet smiling girl in a dress skipped over and got into the car. Phoenix Mountain was quite far. It took me nearly 3 hours of driving to get there. It was a comprehensive resort. It looked like business was booming. The parking lot was almost full. I put on a mask and went to the front desk to book a room, but I was told they were fully booked. Apparently, according to the news, there would be a meteor shower tonight in this area. Many astronomy enthusiasts had flocked here, and all the resort rooms had been reserved. The news caught me completely off guard. Was I really going to make this trip for nothing? Back at the parking lot, I quickly spotted Kevin's car. They must have booked a room in advance. I couldn't help but shake my head at myself. Was I really going to just turn back? No, I had already come this far. I had to find a way. I don't know how long I sat in the car. As night fell, I turned on my phone and, out of habit, opened that social media platform. I saw a post that had been updated just half an hour ago. The most romantic thing I can think of is watching a meteor shower with the person I love most. The attached photo was a freshly taken landscape shot. It was clearly taken nearby. I felt a sudden surge of adrenaline and quickly found a parking attendant, asking if he could tell where the place in the photo was. He zoomed in on the image, studied it for a few seconds, then confidently pointed to the mountain across the way. I decided to head out, to get solid proof of Kevin's cheating. I was really going all in. Luckily, I hadn't worn high heels when I left today, but since I hadn't climbed a mountain in a long time, I was already panting after just a couple of kilometers. To make matters worse, it was getting darker and darker, and I had to use my phone as a flashlight. The mountain path was narrow, with thorny bushes on both sides. A pitch-black bird suddenly burst out from the trees, nearly scaring me into a heart attack. I ran forward a few steps in panic, but suddenly my foot slipped. Before I could react, my head spun, and in the next second, my whole body fell backward. Chapter 20. Only when my body hit the ground with a heavy thud did I realize I had fallen. I wasn't even sure where I had landed. I lay there on the ground for a full 5 minutes before trying to sit up. Luckily, beneath me was a thick layer of dry branches and fallen leaves. I was fairly certain my head was fine, but my ankle seemed twisted. Even the slightest movement sent sharp pain shooting through it. Damn, could I be any more unlucky? I tried again, seeing if I could stand up. The result, pain so intense my face twisted, and tears streamed down. No choice. I had to call for backup. Wait, where was my phone? I fumbled around for quite a while but couldn't find it. I was on the verge of tears. Could my luck get any worse? Just as I was sinking into despair, a faint glimmer of light flickered not far away. Thank God, I finally found it. I slowly shuffled over. It was a message on WeChat. From Frederick. A bold, seductive photo of his abs. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. At this point, I couldn't care less. I quickly started a video call. He picked up almost instantly. Frederick, I sniffed. It looked like he had just finished showering. There were still droplets of water on his forehead. Seeing only darkness on my side, he paused slightly, his tone turning serious. Where are you? I thought for a moment and replied in a muffled voice. Phoenix Mountain. What happened? I think I twisted my ankle. He responded immediately. Stay there. I'm coming right now. More than 2 hours later, I finally saw him. When he found me, I was leaning alone against a pine tree. Young Master Frederick frowned deeply, his eyes full of questions. You came here alone? Of course. I wasn't going to tell him I came to catch a cheater in the act. Everyone said there'd be a meteor shower here tonight. Frederick looked at me like I was an idiot. In the end, he sighed softly, walked over, and crouched down in front of me, his tone unusually gentle. Get on. I didn't expect young Master Frederick to offer me a piggyback ride. Feeling uneasy, I tried to refuse. I can actually walk on my own. You just need to support me from the side. Frederick raised his wrist and glanced at his watch. It's already past 10. Are you sure you want to keep wasting time? We stared at each other for a moment. Come on, it's not like I haven't carried you before. He carried me before? Why don't I remember that? Seeing my confused, slightly silly expression, Frederick's face darkened. You didn't forget everything from before, did you? I instinctively retorted. How could I? I remember very clearly how you rejected me. Frederick suddenly fell silent, just looking at me quietly. The atmosphere froze. I felt like something must be missing in my brain. Why did I have to say something that made things so awkward? He had driven for nearly 3 hours just to come save me. Christiana, do you even know how to talk to people? I regret it. The sudden words stunned me on the spot. It was as if someone had pressed my acupoint. I froze, staring at him. Frederick. Like me, leaned back against the pine tree and sat down beside me, his voice low and hoarse. If I told you that was the decision I regret the most in my life, would you forgive me? That seems a bit dramatic. I felt slightly embarrassed. There's no law saying someone has to accept a confession. Of course you had the right to reject me. There's nothing to forgive, but I regret it. For the past 10 years, I've regretted it every single day. Chapter 21. I looked at Frederick. He looked back at me. On his face was pain and deep regret, and the heavy, broken tone in his voice. Everything showed that he wasn't lying. But then why? Right after rejecting me, did you start dating Cecilia? I finally asked the question that had lingered in my heart for years. Frederick froze for a moment. His expression slowly shifted from regret and frustration to confusion and astonishment. Who is Cecilia? Wasn't she your first love? I don't have a first love. If I did, it would only be you. Wait, young Master Frederick, aren't you overacting a bit? You were the one who rejected me, and now you're saying I'm your first love? But she told me herself that you two were dating. Frederick's expression gradually turned serious. He asked calmly, "This Cecilia, is she from your class?" I nodded. He took out his phone and made a call. 2 seconds later, Orson, help me look up a girl named Cecilia from class 2215 of St. Lawn High School. I want her phone number within 15 minutes. All right. As expected of a domineering CEO, in less than 15 minutes, Orson called back. After hanging up, Frederick dialed another number. The call was quickly answered. Hello, is this Cecilia? Yes. Who is this? I'm Frederick from class 2208 of St. Lawn High School. May I ask, 10 years ago, did you tell Christiana that we were dating? There was a moment of silence on the other end. I was just joking with her. What? That sentence completely shattered me on the spot. How is that possible? Back then, after school, you were clearly walking with Frederick every day. And didn't you bring him lunch at noon? She probably didn't expect me to be there as well. The atmosphere fell silent again. Frederick's tone turned cold. Miss, I'd like you to explain, when exactly did you ever bring me lunch? And when did I ever walk with you every day? I walked beside him on purpose. So what? I talked to him on purpose when I saw you. So what? The lunch was meant for him, but I ate it myself. So what? Who told you to be so stupid? You believed whatever I said. You deserved it. I was stunned, completely dumbfounded. If, a minute ago, I had still doubted whether the person on the phone was really Cecilia, now, that doubt was completely gone. She was still as domineering, arrogant, and unreasonable as ever. Back in middle school, I had been bullied by her and her group of girls for 3 whole years, through cold stares and mockery. After the call ended, Frederick and I both fell into silence. After a long while, I rejected you back then because you were still underage. I was afraid it would affect your studies. I originally planned to wait until you graduated from high school. Then why didn't you explain it to me later? Frederick's voice was filled with loneliness. Did you ever give me a chance to explain? That was true. After being rejected, and then learning that he was supposedly dating the girl who bullied me, I never spoke to Frederick again. In high school, he had actually tried to approach me several times, but I always turned away coldly. Back then, I was just being stubborn and putting on a front. Even later, when I was studying in the United States, whenever I heard that Frederick was going to visit Carolina, I would pretend to be busy and never meet him. Who would have thought? This was the reason we missed each other for so many years? The two of us sat there in silence for a while longer. The night grew darker. Let's go. I'll carry you down the mountain. This time, I didn't refuse. Honestly, being carried on a guy's back. How should I put it? It actually felt pretty nice. And Frederick was tall. With broad shoulders, it gave me a strong sense of security. Oh right. You said earlier that you carried me before. When was that? He sighed softly. 5th grade, the spring outing. 5th grade, the spring outing? I think I vaguely remember now. That time, Carolina and I joined the school's spring outing. Along the way, Carolina spotted some mushrooms on a nearby hill and got so excited that she insisted on dragging me along to look for them. As a result, we got separated from the group. Everyone ended up searching for us. That outing included both 5th and 6th graders. And Frederick was there too. In the end, he was the one who found us first. I think I had also twisted my ankle back then and couldn't walk properly. Carolina suggested, "Why don't you let my brother carry you?" And just like that, I ended up on Frederick's back. I never expected him to still remember something from so long ago. His memory really is impressive. Chapter 22. The two of us returned to the resort. "Where's your car?" I asked Frederick. "At the foot of the mountain." "Why?" "Traffic jam." "Oh, given tonight's situation, that made sense. Then how did you get up here?" The moment I said it, I realized I had asked a stupid question. Of course he walked. What? Did I think he flew? No wonder he was sweating so much earlier. All right. Young Master Frederick really had it rough. Another question popped into my mind. Then how are we getting down the mountain now? Frederick thought for a moment. "How's your foot?" "If it's serious, I can have Orson arrange a helicopter." Actually, my foot didn't hurt that much anymore, aside from a bit of swelling. It wasn't a big deal. I quickly rejected his suggestion. No need to go through all that trouble. It doesn't hurt anymore. Why don't we just find a room and deal with tonight first? Then I remembered something. But I think they're fully booked. After confirming my foot was fine, Frederick said, "Wait a moment. I'll call Orson." 5 minutes later, the front desk informed us that there was still one suite available. Seriously, what kind of organization does Orson come from? He's ridiculously capable. It wasn't until we got the room card and entered the elevator that it finally hit me. So tonight, I'm staying in the same room as Frederick? After taking a shower, I walked out of the bathroom and saw Frederick holding a pillow, sitting on the sofa. When he saw me only wearing a bathrobe, his gaze shifted away. "I'll sleep on the sofa tonight. You take the bed." How could that be okay? Looking at young Master Frederick's slightly awkward expression, I suddenly felt playful. "TSK. Sending me photos every day. I thought you were experienced. But now I'm just in a bathrobe and you don't even dare look?" I walked over to him and rubbed my nose. "Frederick, you smell a bit sweaty. Want to take a shower?" His face instantly turned red. I was completely charmed. Haha, someone with such a serious cleanliness obsession, how could he tolerate hearing that? Young Master Frederick immediately got up and went to shower. He stayed in the bathroom for a full half-hour before coming out wrapped in a bathrobe. Looking at him fresh out of the shower, I had already made up my mind. If I didn't have him completely tonight, I'd change my last name. "Frederick, can you help me dry my hair?" He naturally didn't refuse and quickly brought over a hairdryer. I lay on the pillow, quietly waiting for him to dry it. Before long, the hum of the hairdryer stopped. "Tina," Frederick called me. I didn't move. He called me again. I still didn't move. After hesitating for a moment, he gently turned me over and tucked the blanket around me. But he didn't leave. His fingers lightly brushed my cheek. A moment later, warm breath drew close. A soft, fleeting kiss landed near my lips. I suddenly opened my eyes, hooking my arms around his neck. I pulled him in and kissed him first. Frederick's eyes widened. I let out a soft laugh, then continued kissing him. Soon, he began to respond. We kissed passionately. Frederick was wearing a bathrobe. It was very easy to take off. I easily traced his chest, his abs, the lines of his body. Just as I was tremblingly about to go further, I heard a muffled groan from his throat. No, he was breathing heavily, his eyes filled with restrained struggle. "Why not?" I complained. "Tina, divorce him as soon as possible, okay?" Divorce. Divorce, always divorce. Does it ever end? Why should I divorce? He held the back of my head, pressing a deep kiss into my hair by my ear, his voice trembling. "Be good. Divorce him. Then we'll be together forever. Just the two of us. Every single day, okay?" Damn. I really didn't understand why he was so stubborn. Kevin isn't divorced either, and he's still all lovey-dovey with his girlfriend. I flipped over. "Tonight. You're doing this whether you want to or not. You can't." Hearing Frederick's almost broken whisper, I straddled him, my tone teasing. "If you want me to divorce Kevin sooner, you should at least let me test things out. What if you're not up to it? Wouldn't all my effort be wasted? If I had known this sentence would leave me unable to get out of bed the next day, I would never have said it. Sure enough, you should never tell a man he's not capable. The world spun. In the next second, our positions were completely reversed. Young Master Frederick was clearly angry now. He gritted his teeth, glaring at me. Christiana, you said that yourself. I got my wish and pulled off his bathrobe. At first, I was quite pleased with myself, my hands and lips busy nonstop. But gradually, I couldn't keep up. Slow down, not there. I'm so tired. Let me rest. Please, no more. Help. I won't dare again. You should just sleep on the sofa. I felt like a doll, being moved around by Frederick again and again. And wait, didn't Carolina say he had the worst cleanliness obsession? Then why is he even? Seriously, even my toes. That's so ticklish. Chapter 23. After returning from Phoenix Mountain, Kevin was clearly immersed in a passionate relationship. How could I tell? Because he stayed out all night even more frequently. Sometimes I wouldn't see him for an entire week. Honey, I have to discuss a collaboration with Shinda tonight. It might go very late, so don't wait up for me. On the phone, Kevin was once again asking for leave from me. Honestly, he didn't even need to make this call. I hadn't waited for him in a long time. Besides, I myself hadn't gone home for 3 days. All right, just remember not to drink too much. Got it. Love you. Honey, I let out a dry laugh. Love you too. Yeah, right. After hanging up, Carolina clicked her tongue beside me. So what are you planning to do? Just drag this out with him like this? I curled my lips into a faint smile. Kevin's girlfriend isn't in a hurry. So why should I be? She went through all that effort to get with him. There's no way she'd be satisfied staying a secret forever. Don't worry. I'm not worried about that. It's my brother. He's been asking me about you these past few days. Can you at least reply to his messages? The moment Frederick was mentioned, I instantly fell silent. Carolina looked at me and sighed. Forget it. You can handle your own business. I haven't told him you're here. You're going out. I noticed she was getting changed. Yeah, that younger guy from the restaurant asked me to go to a comic convention. The guy from the restaurant? I thought about it. He looks pretty young. You're mistaken. He's very much grown, Carolina said smugly. Miss Ramos had only been out for 5 minutes when the doorbell rang again. I had no choice but to go downstairs from the second floor to open the door for her. What is it? Forgot your phone, Aga. My voice abruptly stopped. I stared in shock at the person standing at the door, my mouth hanging open. We looked at each other for a moment. Avoiding me? Frederick's voice was calm and gentle. I felt a little awkward and forced an embarrassed smile. How could I? He looked at me, his eyes soft. Can I come in? Of course. After he entered, just as I was racking my brain for an excuse about not replying to his messages these past few days, Frederick suddenly pulled me into a gentle embrace. I'm sorry. His move completely stunned me. What did he mean? If you're not ready to get a divorce yet, I won't push you anymore, but don't avoid me again, okay? Frederick's tone sounded humble, even a little aggrieved. I froze for a moment, surprised by his sudden change of attitude. Why? He held me tightly, not responding for a long time. After a while, he finally spoke softly. I can't bear you ignoring me again, treating me with cold indifference. The past 10 years felt like a damp, freezing nightmare. I finally woke up from it. I don't ever want to fall back in. Those words softened something in my chest. I hugged him back. I will divorce Kevin. It shouldn't take long. Can you wait a little longer? Frederick suddenly let go of me, a glimmer of light flashing in his eyes. Really? He pulled me into a tight embrace again. Okay, I trust you. Chapter 24. A month later, I received a call from an unknown number. The caller got straight to the point. Mrs. Hello, I'm Pilar, the executive assistant to the president of the Mao Group. Do you have time today? I'd like to talk with you. So, it's finally happening? After hanging up, I opened that social media account. This time, the update was a pregnancy test report, along with a caption. I've gone to confront his wife. I'll face this together with him. So that's how it is. I looked at the pregnancy report in my own hand and thought for a moment. Then I left her a comment. What a coincidence, I'm pregnant too. Luckily, my man doesn't have a wife. He even said he'd face my husband with me. I set the meeting place directly at my home. Unlike the last time we met in the office, when she was silent and humble, this time, she was full of confidence, completely composed. After sitting down on the sofa, her opening was straightforward. Mrs. I'm pregnant with Kevin's child. Here's the report, take a look. I picked up the report and read every word carefully. Then I looked up at her. What do you want? Seeing how calm I was, she seemed a little surprised. Her gaze sharpened as she stared at me. I don't want my child to be illegitimate. As far as I know, Kevin hasn't touched you for almost half a year. Do you really think this marriage is worth continuing? Indeed, it isn't. Haven't I just been waiting for you to show up? But there was one thing I was curious about. Was it you who told him not to touch me? Kevin really is that obedient. Huh? She revealed a smug, subtle smile. Mrs. Men can be very obedient sometimes. As long as you satisfy them properly. Whatever you say, they'll follow it willingly. It's just a pity, a woman like you would never understand. I could vaguely tell she was mocking me. What does she mean? A woman like me? Please. If only she knew how much Frederick dotes on me. In bed, he practically worships me. And he lasts longer than Kevin. His attentiveness is 100 times better too. Only she would treat a man like Kevin as some kind of treasure. Whatever. Not worth arguing with her. There was movement in the living room. Moments later, a richly dressed, elegant woman walked in. My dear mother-in-law, Kevin's mother. Christiana, why did you call me here so urgently? What's going on? I stood up and introduced them. Mom, this is Pilar, Kevin's assistant. The report on the coffee table is her pregnancy test. You're about to have a grandchild. Of course, it could also be a granddaughter. After I finished speaking, the two of them looked at each other in shock. An hour later, Kevin came back. I had already packed some of my things. My mother-in-law was still trying to persuade me earnestly. Christiana, what are you doing? There must be some misunderstanding here. Let Kevin explain. Hearing that, I looked at Kevin and let out a cold laugh. You wanted an explanation? Go ahead. He glanced at the report on the table. What else was there to understand? His gaze shifted to me, a trace of guilt flashing across his face. His voice was slow. Wife. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. Heh. Is the child she's carrying yours? Chapter 25. Kevin fell silent, which was clearly his way of admitting it. Either we divorce, or she gets an abortion. Pick one. The moment I said that, before Kevin could respond, my mother-in-law looked anxious. Christiana, this is still a life after all. Actually, you could. I knew it. Kevin was almost 30. There was no way his mother would give up a grandchild so easily. Besides, Kevin's family wasn't short on money. They could afford as many illegitimate children as they wanted. I sighed. Mom, what I said just now was out of anger. Actually, whether the child is kept or not, Kevin and I are over. As for the projects between our two companies, cooperation will continue as usual. It won't be affected. She looked at me in shock, unable to believe I could be so reasonable. Kevin also stared at me in disbelief, not understanding why I was reacting like this. After all, he had cheated and even gotten his mistress pregnant. Logically, I should have been completely overwhelmed by all this. Let's handle the divorce as soon as possible. Tomorrow, we'll go finalize it. I'll go back to my mom's place for now. See you at the Civil Affairs office tomorrow morning. With that, I ignored their reactions and turned to leave. When I got back home, my mom was reviewing quarterly reports. She only glanced up briefly when she saw me, then lowered her head again to continue. Back alone again? Where's Kevin? I divorced him. She flipped a page, then suddenly paused. What did you just say? I sat down and repeated. Kevin cheated. That girl is already pregnant. So I asked for a divorce. She froze for a long moment before processing my words. Her expression turned serious. Is all of this true? Mom, Of course it's true. I'll go finalize the divorce with him tomorrow. As for the company, handle it as you see fit, separate things as early as possible and minimize entanglement. Of course, the projects already underway are exceptions. My mom put down the report and thought for a moment. And you just agreed to this so easily? Of course I agreed, because I'm pregnant too. What did you say? I'm pregnant. The child isn't Kevin's. My mom was completely stunned, but Kevin's family doesn't know about my pregnancy. Don't tell them. Anyway, I'll divorce Kevin tomorrow. And after that, we'll go our separate ways. The flood of information was finally too much for her. She pressed her temple and quickly called a pause. Let me process this for a moment. Christiana, do you even realize what you're saying? Seeing this, I had no choice but to take out the video I recorded 2 months ago, Kevin passionately kissing his mistress. I found out about Kevin's cheating a long time ago. I just never told you. The child I'm carrying is Frederick's. You can think of it as me getting back at Kevin, or as Frederick and I rekindling things. After all, I liked him since I was young. My mom was completely dumbfounded. Her mouth opened and closed several times. You're saying the child you're carrying is Frederick's? That's right. Then why didn't you divorce Kevin first before getting together with him? I got carried away in the moment and didn't control myself. Chapter 26. Early the next morning, at the Civil Affairs Bureau, Kevin sighed, his complicated gaze resting on my face. Wife, I don't want a divorce. Believe me, I was just impulsive with her. I cut him off impatiently. Kevin, didn't we already plan for pregnancy last year? Have you calculated how long it's been since you last touched me? 6 months. A married couple not sleeping together for 6 months, doesn't that basically mean divorce is coming? I'm young, beautiful, rich, and free. What makes you think I should keep wasting time on you? Just because our marriage was arranged, you think I should consider the bigger picture and forgive you this time, right? If I forgive you this time, then next time, and the time after that, and the time after that, you'll follow the same pattern and ask for forgiveness again, until I get used to your mistress. Because you're friends, your classmates, even your father, most men live like that. Sorry, I'm not that kind of woman, and neither is my mother. You probably don't realize this yet, but I hold grudges, so we're not suitable for each other. Let's just divorce sooner rather than later. Kevin stood there motionless. In the end, he said nothing more and followed me into the Civil Affairs Bureau. The day after I divorced Kevin, early in the morning, I had just come downstairs when I saw an unexpected guest in the living room. My mom was sitting on the sofa, arms crossed, her expression stern. She radiated full mother-in-law authority. Frederick stood opposite her, normally proud and aloof like a domineering CEO. He now looked unusually obedient. I hurried over. Mom, what are you doing so early in the morning? Seeing me, her expression didn't soften much. Well, what are you two planning to do? Frederick looked resolute and spoke calmly. Auntie, I will marry Tina. My mom frowned. Marriage? Do your parents agree? Do your grandparents know? Christiana's situation is what it is. She just got divorced. She can't possibly marry you immediately. What would people say? And if you delay the wedding, what about the child? When her belly gets big, won't people gossip endlessly? You're already in your 20s. How can you handle things so? Frederick paused, confused. The child? My mom's expression darkened further. You don't know yet? If my mom found out that Frederick had only been won over because I schemed my way into it, she'd probably be furious. You're pregnant? Frederick turned to look at me. Stunned, I stammered. It's not your responsibility. Technically, it really wasn't his responsibility. That night, I had practically seduced and forced him, even refusing protection. My mom's exasperated voice rang out. What do you mean, Christiana? The child isn't his? Great. I had no choice but to explain. Mom, the child is Frederick's, but it's not his fault. I was the one who seduced him that night. Please stop asking. You're really pregnant? Frederick asked again, seeking confirmation. I could only nod. Without hesitation, he turned back to my mom and said calmly, Auntie, I assure you, my marriage is entirely my own decision, regardless of whether my family agrees or not. I will definitely marry Tina. As for the wedding timing, both families can discuss it together. Of course, personally, I'd prefer it to be as soon as possible. If you think getting married right now is too rushed, I have another suggestion. We can register the marriage first. After hearing all that, my mom was left speechless, unable to respond for a long while. Chapter 27. When my pregnancy was revealed, the Ramos family was thrown into chaos as well. Frederick Ramos took all the responsibility onto himself. He even said that he had gotten drunk and forced himself on me. His father was furious, so angry he almost raised his hand to hit him. I panicked instantly and hurried forward to stop him. Uncle Ramos, actually, it's not Frederick's fault. It's all because of me. Mrs. Ramos stepped forward and pulled me back, indignantly saying, Christiana, don't defend him anymore. For him to do something like this, you're already being merciful by not calling the police. Raising a son like this, we as parents have lost face too. Oh my God. I felt like I had completely ruined young Master Frederick's spotless reputation. I regretted it deeply. I made up my mind to tell Mr. and Mrs. Ramos the truth, but Carolina pulled me aside. Are you stupid? Frederick is doing this so you can marry into our family with your head held high. That's why he came up with this excuse to face the elders. Don't mess it up. But he shouldn't have to take the blame for something like this. If he wants to marry his wife, what's wrong with taking the blame? Don't worry, he's more than willing. Watching Frederick, who had been held up as the model student since childhood, get scolded harshly by his own parents today, I truly felt guilty and uneasy. After returning to the room upstairs, I took the initiative to pull him aside and apologize. I'm sorry. Frederick looked puzzled. Why are you apologizing? For ruining your reputation. He looked at me, his eyes incredibly gentle. Then he leaned closer, softly brushing aside the hair by my cheek. His voice was low and magnetic, laced with temptation. So, how are you planning to make it up to me? I blinked, then whispered something softly in his ear. After hearing it, Frederick's gaze deepened, his Adam's apple bobbing. You're sure? I'm sure. 100 times? 100 times. He kissed my lips. All right, deal. The two of us stayed wrapped up in each other for quite a while. Then my eyes drifted toward a row of neatly arranged gift boxes in the cabinet. They were the same kind of box as the one Frederick had given me before for my birthday, the one with the gold 4-leaf clover necklace inside. The last time I saw them, I had already been curious. What's inside these gift boxes? He followed my gaze, a hint of mystery in his tone. You can open them and see. I raised an eyebrow. Really? My interest was instantly piqued. I opened the first one. Inside was a dazzling gold bracelet, thick and solid. The second, a gold snake chain necklace, also quite heavy, definitely high in weight. The third, a gold starry bracelet. The fourth, the fifth. They were all gold jewelry. I counted, there were over 100 boxes here. Could it be that all of them were gold? How much would that even cost? Seeing my stunned expression, he asked, Do you like them? What kind of question is that? Who doesn't like gold? Who did you buy them for? For Smog. Frederick's tone was full of amusement. So, they were for me. When did you buy all these? All these years. I was deeply moved. Why didn't you give them to me? His voice carried a hint of grievance. Because you never paid attention to me. Seriously, could you be any more of a silent type? What if I had ignored you forever? Then I would have kept buying them. And one day, when I'm old or dead, I'd have Carolina give all of them to you. Unbelievable. Now I finally understand why we missed each other for so many years. We were both stubborn, and neither of us knew how to speak up. Chapter 28. A month later, Kevin and I finalized our divorce. The very next day, Frederick took me to register our marriage. At last, everything was above board. Both families began discussing the wedding date. Grandpa Ramos and Grandma Ramos wanted to hold the wedding before my pregnancy became too obvious. My mother, however, had a lot of concerns. After all, I had just divorced Kevin, and getting remarried so quickly might invite gossip from relatives and friends. But before long, Kevin's side announced their wedding date first. Apparently, that girl was using the baby as leverage. Right after finding out the sex of the fetus, she pressured Kevin into marrying her. Kevin's parents couldn't bear to give up their already forming grandchild. So they agreed. After hearing that Kevin's wedding date had been announced, my mother seemed to let go of her worries too and agreed to move up my wedding with the Ramos family. After discussing it, both families decided there was no need for a large-scale wedding. Only close relatives from both sides would be invited. The wedding was set for the end of the month. Kevin somehow got the news and called me. "Christiana, I heard you're getting married. Is it true? Do you need something?" He paused. "Actually, you don't have to marry some random man just to spite me." I couldn't help laughing. "Kevin, where do you get the nerve? Calling Frederick some random man sounded as absurd to me as calling Louis Koo plain looking. I know I hurt you deeply, but Christiana, as your ex-husband, I still want to remind you, don't make the wrong decision just because you're acting out in the heat of the moment. Get lost." I hung up without hesitation. The next time I saw Kevin was in the second month after my marriage, when Frederick accompanied me to the hospital for a prenatal checkup. Halfway through, his phone rang, and he stepped into the stairwell to answer it. That was when I saw Kevin. His wife's belly looked about the same size as mine. Thinking about it carefully, our pregnancies had started at almost the same time anyway. The moment Kevin saw me, a flicker of joy flashed through his eyes. Why are you here?" I didn't really want to respond to him. His wife, on the other hand, looked me up and down warily. A moment later, she cried out in shock, "You're pregnant?" Following her voice, Kevin's gaze also dropped to my belly. His expression changed slightly. After a moment of thought, he spoke coldly. "You're pregnant? How many months?" I almost found it funny. "What does that have to do with you?" "Christiana, didn't you just get married last month? Don't tell me you've only been pregnant for 1 month." His wife walked over, a trace of contempt in her voice. "How is that possible? Honey?" Her belly looks about the same size as mine. "Shut up." Kevin's face looked grim. "Christiana, tell me the truth. How long have you been pregnant?" As for his question, I only had a few words for him. "That's none of your business." Chapter 29. He instantly lost his composure. "So you've put such a huge cheating scandal on my head, and you still won't let me know? Christiana, don't push it too far. Some people look all innocent and pure on the surface, but who would have thought they're actually this wild in private?" His wife's tone even carried a hint of gloating. I truly couldn't understand her mindset. Back then, when her relationship was in trouble, I had even comforted her, and when she got pregnant and came to provoke me, I stepped aside without hesitation. Besides, me, a married woman, seducing an unmarried man, and her, an unmarried woman, seducing a married man, what's the difference morally? There is none. Why do women mock other women? I sighed and said to her sincerely, "You don't need to be so hostile toward me. When you and Kevin were having problems, didn't I comfort you?" She looked completely confused. "What are you talking about?" I took out my phone, opened her social media account, and showed it to her. "This is your account, right?" She froze, looking at me like I was some kind of monster. She stammered, "Why you? How do you know?" I shrugged. "I noticed you on Kevin's phone once. You two seemed close, so I followed you. The account named Tina, that's me. I even encouraged you back then, saying love can overcome anything. So don't give up." Later, you made up your mind and went to Phoenix Mountain with Kevin for 3 days and 2 nights. You even said you'd give yourself to him completely, didn't you? The two of them looked like they had been struck by lightning. They stared at me in disbelief. I continued with a smile. "By the way, Phoenix Mountain really is beautiful. You two even went up the mountain across from the resort to watch the meteor shower, right?" I was there that night too. Unfortunately, I twisted my ankle later and missed it. "So, was that the night you gave yourself to him? Watching a meteor shower while being intimate, pretty romantic." "Huh?" The woman's face turned from pale to flushed, then pale again. She looked utterly embarrassed. Kevin, on the other hand, had calmed down. "You knew all along, didn't you?" I nodded. "Of course. I thought you wanted an open marriage. You got yourself a girlfriend, so naturally I got myself a boyfriend. That Phoenix Mountain trip? That was a special place for me and my boyfriend too. Come to think of it, your wife and I got pregnant around the same time. Isn't that nice? Now we've both found our own happiness. Kevin looked like he had just swallowed something disgusting. Cheating, after all, is all about excitement, about thrill. So now, was it thrilling enough? Satisfying enough? I wanted him to feel it every time he looked at his own precious son, like a thorn in his throat, like a splinter in his back. I wanted that child to become a constant reminder of his disgrace. Because while he was cheating, his wife was putting a cheating scandal on him too. That's probably why Carolina and I have gotten along so well all these years. The truth is, we're very similar. We both believe in getting even. A few days later, my mom casually told me, I don't know what's gotten into your ex-husband. I heard his wife is already over 5 months pregnant, but he's insisting she get an abortion. Their household has been in complete chaos these days. I let out a cold laugh. Is he trying to erase his own shame? Not only would that woman refuse, even Kevin's parents would never allow it. Chapter 30. 4 months later, I gave birth to a delicate, doll-like baby girl. The moment she was born, her net worth instantly surpassed her mother's. Her grandparents gifted her property, her great-grandparents gifted her land, and her maternal grandmother transferred company shares to her. Her aunt even gave her a luxury villa. Meanwhile, her parents were the stingiest, giving her nothing at all. Ever since I gave birth, Carolina had automatically promoted herself to a full-time nanny, holding the baby every day and never wanting to let go. The key problem was, there were too many people lining up to hold the little princess. So most of the time, she actually had to queue. Oh my god, she's so cute. So fun. Christiana, why don't you have another one? I was speechless. If you like kids so much, go have one yourself. No way. What if the baby I give birth to is ugly? Then find a handsome guy to have one with. Nope. You should just work a bit harder and have 2 more. Don't you think our house is too big for so few kids? I couldn't help laughing. I never thought I wouldn't be pressured by my mother-in-law, but instead by my sister-in-law. And you want me to have 2 more? What am I? A breeding machine? After being held for a while, the baby started yawning. She was probably getting sleepy. The nanny took her to put her in the crib. Carolina reluctantly let go. The 2 of us sat on the sofa chatting. As if remembering something amusing, Carolina suddenly smiled. Oh right. Have you heard? Kevin got divorced. Huh? That fast? How long had he even been married? I asked casually. Why? What else could it be? Relationship issues. I heard after his wife gave birth, he never went to see the baby even once. His parents even suspected the child wasn't his and had a DNA test done. The results confirmed it was indeed their grandson. But Kevin still refused to see his own son and insisted on divorcing her. It's all over social media, 2 marriages and 2 divorces in just a few years. His parents are practically furious. Given Kevin's stubborn personality, I had already expected this. A man with such a strong ego could never accept his pride being damaged in the slightest. This would be something he could never get over for the rest of his life. Who could he blame? That night, Frederick came home. As a new father, the first thing he did was, of course, go play with his precious daughter. After doting on her, he turned his attention to teasing me. Wife, want to make a date tonight? What? I pretended not to understand. 100 times. He reminded me. Oh God, why was I so foolish back then? Agreeing to play 100 rounds of role play with him. He only got scolded a bit. But I have to actually put in the physical effort. Young Master Frederick leaned in and gently nibbled my ear. So, what are we playing tonight? Thinking about the back I had strained just last night. Can I take a break? Nope, baby. But my back. Then I'll do the work tonight. Help.